Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. That's giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, whose name is Yahweh. Ba'ashim meaning coming in the name of, and Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. Right? During this series of Israel, the recipient of the Courier, we have discussed how the elect, the saints, the sanctified, and the called are in fact the children of Israel. Right? The covenant belongs to them. Quick read through Romans 9. The letters were sent to the children of Israel. The children of Israel were considered not a people, right? We established that the Gentiles being spoken to, that the letters are corresponding to, are in fact the outcasts of Israel. And now we're going to discuss a little bit about how our people were treated and why, we were definitely called by different names, right? There was a forced coercion in 170 to 150 BC, right? And there were laws set in place to force the children of Israel to follow the customs of their residing area. And with that, they were called by different names, right? So this kind of plays into where these letters were sent, right? And why they were sent to these places. We, as the children of Israel, we were sent and we were scattered among the nations, among the Gentiles. We were scattered in all different types of land masses, right? Without further ado, let's get into it. The book of Tobit 13 and 3. I'm going to just give two scriptures just to make a quick point, and then we'll get back on track. Tobit 13 and 3 says, "Confess him before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he has scattered us among them," right? So we're diving into the Apocrypha today, right? We're going to mostly stay in 1st and 2nd Maccabees. So 1st Maccabees says 12 and 21. Salakia. 1st Maccabees chapter 12 verse 21 says, "It is found in writing that the Lacedaemonians and Jews are brethren, and that they are of the stock of Abraham." So these Jews here, right, or these Israelites here, are called by a different name. They're called Lacedaemonians, and we see that a lot, right? We're called by many names, right? We can be considered, Grecians. We can be considered Romans, right? Cornelius of the Italian band, they consider him a Roman because of that title, right? But we're scattered among these people. It says that they are of the stock of Abraham. So this is proof that we were called by another name. Now let's get into this lesson, right? 1st Maccabees chapter 1, verses 11 through 15. "In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go to make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow." Right? So these traitorous Jews, right? These traitorous wicked men of Israel, they're like, you know what? Let's sell out. Let's make a covenant with the heathens, right? Verse 12, "So this device pleased them well. The certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen." So the king gives them permission, right? Citizenship. He gives them permission to do as they are doing, right? As the wicked heathens are doing. Verse 14, "Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. So we're heathens now, man. These guys here, they willingly became like the heathens. They willingly did it, right? Now let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verses 41 to 50. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So forget your own laws, right? Forget the laws of your God. You're going to follow the king and the ways of this land, right? Verse 43. Yeah, men also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow and the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary of the holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So they basically made a decree, right? Made a law that no Israelites could follow the laws of the Most High God. And if you were caught following the laws of the Most High God, then you should be killed for doing so, right? Now let's get 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 52 and 53. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for secure. Let's get 1 Maccabees chapter 1 verses 54 through 64 now. Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire. So these cowards took all our literature, all our scripture, right? The laws of the Most High God, the prophecies, and they ripped them up and burnt them up, right? 1 Maccabees 1 and 57. And whosoever was found with any book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. So if you were caught with the scriptures of the Most High God, the laws of the Most High God, you were put to death for even having a copy. Imagine that. Imagine our people going through this. We're forced under this governing body to do away with our God, our heritage, our laws, and just to submit to whatever they want us to do, right? And then we go into slavery, and then, you know, it's years and generations of us not knowing how to read, right? And this truth being hid from us till now that we can read and the truth is out. No one wants to listen. We've gotten comfortable with the ways of Antiochus, right? First Maccabees 1:58. Thus did they, by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Right? They would kill them. They was looking for you. If you had anything to do with the law, they would kill you. First Maccabees 1:59. Now the 20th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. So if they found circumcised babies, they would kill the mothers. Right? This is what was going on with our people, with the true Israelites, right? With the elect, the saints, the sanctified, the called. And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. So they were hanging the babies around the necks of their mothers, and they would kill them. First Maccabees chapter 1:62. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was very great wrath upon Israel. So that was the decree of Antiochus, man. You don't want to follow my laws, you're going to get put to death. I better not catch y'all following the laws of your God. I better not catch y'all with your scriptures, right? With your scrolls. Moving along, let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 1, verses 24 to 27. And the prayer was after this manner. And check this prayer out. I put this in here today. This wasn't in the original breakdown, but check this out. And the prayer was after this manner. O Lord, Lord God, creator of all things, who art fearful and strong and righteous and merciful, and the only and gracious King, the only giver of all things, the only just, almighty, and everlasting, thou that deliverest Israel from all trouble, and did choose the fathers and sanctify them. Sanctify, right? Receive the sacrifice for thy whole people Israel, and preserve thine own portion, right? Preserving that remnant, and sanctify it. Sanctify again. Verse 27, gather those together that are scattered from us. Deliver them that serve among the heathen. Look upon them that are despised and abhorred, and let the heathen know that thou art our God. So gather those together that are scattered, right? Deliver them that serve among the heathen. Everything that's being brought out is correlating with this entire series, right? But back to the lesson. Let's get 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verses 10 through 16. Which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule forthwith he brought his own nation to the Grecian fashion, and the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by means of John the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid, he took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of Greek fashions, and increase of heathenish manners, through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch and no high priest, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise after the game of discus called them forth. Right? So they're just all into it now. They want to be a part of this new agreement that they have with their new governing body. Verse 15, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. And our people are still in love with the Grecian ways, right? We do the alpha, omega, sci-fi, and all that. We're all over the Grecian customs. 2 Maccabees 4:16, by reason whereof sore calamity came upon them, for they had them to be their enemies and avengers, whose custom they followed so earnestly, and unto whom they desired to be like in all things. So they became the slaves of these people, man. You wanted to be like these people, and now you're their slaves. Let's get 2 Maccabees chapter 6, 1 through 6. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God. That's wild. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter, Olympius, and that in Gerizim, of Jupiter the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous unto the people, for the temple was filled with riot and revelling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots, and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth, neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So it was against the law to even say you were a Jew, right? So imagine if you can't call yourself a Jew, what are you going to call yourself? Right? You would call yourself a Roman. You would call yourself a Grecian. You would call yourself an American, right? We got to go by the laws of the land or die. Let's get 2 Maccabees 6, verses 7 through 11. And in that day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in possession of Bacchus, carrying ivy. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. For there were 2 women brought who had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led round about the city, the babes hanging at their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall. And others that had run together into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered by Philip, were all burnt together, because they made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. So these people, unfortunately, were killed by their government because they kept 2 laws of the Most High God. They circumcised their children and they kept the Sabbath. Now let's get 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verses 12 through 14. Now I beseech those that read this book, that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation. For it is a token of his great goodness, when wicked doers are not suffered any long time, but forthwith punished. For not as with other nations, whom the Lord patiently forbeareth to punish, till they be come to the fullness of their sins, so dealeth he with us. Right? So that's just going over how we were treated in times past, um, by the governing bodies, we were forced to follow suit, right? Forced coercion. We were forced to obey the laws of the land and forced to stop keeping the laws of our God. Some of us willingly, like today, some of us willingly break the laws of the Most High God. Some of us just don't care to even hear about the laws of the Most High God. But I hope somebody was edified, right? With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That's giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God, whose name is Yahweh. Ba'ashem meaning coming in the name of, and Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ. Shalom, and I love y'all, family.